Hi, I'm Verena. I was in Kurdistan from about half a year, from August to December 2014. And I've been working in Kurdistan for almost 2.5 years, maybe 3 years even. The thing I'm most fascinated with Kurdistan is that they have a quite unique military and state creation sort of scenario going on right now. In Kurdistan, what you have is that there are several parties who have very strong militaries themselves, and they're all called Peshmerga despite belonging to different parties. And yet, Kurdistan has been on very successful steps towards statehood. I mean, in the current scenario with the Islamic State, which was also the time when I visited the area and talked to a lot of people from all different kinds of fields of politics and the military service, I realized that despite there being two parties and their separated militaries, there is this huge want for recognition and international support and actual eventual independence, maybe. And what you hear from the other side of the story, though, the Western powers that are currently supporting Kurdistan against the fight of ISIS, is that they are only lending support, both military and political, if there is a unification happening of the forces. I mean, this goes very well in line with the idea that any state sort of has a monopoly of forces these days. So it makes sense for Western powers to request it. And so the question I've been working on basically is how can you unify those forces for real? Because what happened in 1991, which was the first time that there was actually an intention to merge the two, is that you saw a structural merging of both parties and their military forces in a 50-50 sort of arrangement. Yet when there was political tension, these forces also split exactly as they were unified before. So what I was working on is this puzzle that the structural unification alone apparently does not, it's not enough. And yet there is no alternative from a Western perspective of how we could think of merging forces. And so basically what I'm trying to figure out in my current PhD project is how could you merge forces beyond the structure. The structure we know how to do, and the structure we see happening right now again. At the current state, there is 14 unified brigades in the Kurdistan Regional Government of Iraq. And yet I don't see them unified to the extent that I think is sustainable on a long-term future for Kurdistan. So my question is, how could you do that? And I'm trying to answer the question today if, whether it is possible at all. And I believe, yes, it is possible. But I also see that it needs three different things to get there. Number one, it needs the political will, an honest will, not a rhetoric, but an honest intention to really merge the forces out of whatever reason you might choose and you might intend to do it. But this political will take courage and leadership, strong leadership from all parties involved. The second thing you need is you might need the understanding that if the different parties meet and talk, they might be using the same words, but sometimes actually mean different things. I'll just give you one example. The word institutionalization, professionalization, unification, those are all words we use quite regularly. And yet, if you actually listen to the different parties, as I have done in my research, the impression I was left with is that there are very different structural and social understandings of what this unification or this institutionalization would look like, what it would entail. And so this is something where I think there needs to be a lot of understanding of the other person, party, and social values before we can actually start to negotiate on a real level. And then the third thing is compromise. I believe that in addition to political will and the understanding of the other person you're negotiating with to unify the forces sufficiently and sustainably, you will need to compromise on several things. There is not a chance that one party can dominate the other because this will not happen in Kurdistan. Everybody is very much intended on standing up for themselves. It's almost a Kurdish spirit, if I dare to say so. They're not defeated, not in history, not so far. So it is very unlikely that somebody will just accept defeat and suppression by somebody else. So what you need is you need to be able to satisfy all parties involved, political parties as well as negotiating parties. And I think this is a very delicate balance that needs to be reached. And yeah, so this is basically my opinion on the Kurds and the Peshmerga and the future of Kurdistan, in at least as far as the unification of the Peshmerga goes.